Burrow, Tua, and Justin Herbert. Make sure TOC Sports is your first pick for all your orthopedic needs.
Tom Abraham, only on 97.7 The Zone.
The PGA Tour Corn Ferry Tour is coming to the Rocket City. Join us at the Ledges for the inaugural Huntsville Championship, April 29th through May 2nd. Experience the beauty and drama of the course firsthand. Witness golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. Cheer on the future of golf up close and home. Tickets are on sale now at HuntsvilleChampionship.com.
Jesus tells us to go the second mile. Well, sometimes it's hard enough to go the first mile. But when the Lord is number one in our lives, we not only go the first mile, but we embrace the second mile. We can talk all we want about Jesus and how important he is to us, but we show it in the second mile. In the second mile, the world has changed. In the second mile, the difference is made. In the second mile, the lost world sees Christ in us. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
SportsBet is the official team of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and if the pros trust SportsBet, you can too. SportsBet provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This is Wes Neighbor sitting here with Ann Adams. And I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great company. And I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. Great company.
Career.e. Take the free
Shane, mic's on.
Oh, and good morning. Welcome in to another brand new live edition of Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone with Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Welcome in. Welcome into a new show. It's our Tuesday edition here on Talkin Ball. We appreciate you for joining us. We're going to get the audio working here on the streams with me a little bit on that. But you can always get a hold of us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We appreciate you for joining us on this Tuesday morning. We've got a lot to get to on today's show. What do we have today? Well, the NFL draft does get underway on Thursday. We're going to continue to get you ready for round one and beyond. We've got a lot of different little clips to throw out there, a lot of different things to throw out there this morning. What do we got? We can hear from Chris Collinsworth on Mac Jones. We can hear from Adam Schefter on what the Falcons and the 49ers are thinking. We've got all kinds of stuff we can get through as far as the draft goes. Something we didn't get to yesterday, LSU banning Darius Geis from everything and more. There's been a lot of talk about quarterbacks heading into the draft. But can you name the top 25 prospects of the modern era? Ones who go to college, stars, so to speak. There's some names on this that may surprise you, may make you scratch your head. Okay, the top 25 quarterback prospects, not going into the NFL draft, but the top college prospects. 24/7 Sports did this. And they simply just call it 25 best quarterback prospects of the modern recruiting era. 25 prospects of the modern recruiting era. Remember that. We're going to go over all of that. We got a lot to get to this morning, but your phone calls are always the first and foremost thing. 256-576-4977. That's exactly where we start this morning. Shane's been holding on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning.
Good morning, Scott and Drew. How you guys doing?
We are doing well for a Tuesday. Check back with us on Friday.
Yeah, well, it is Tuesday. But, yeah, I want to talk Braves, man. So I don't. Last night, and once again, our bullpen almost screwed it away. And, I mean, I have a question for you guys. First and foremost, I want to make a statement. They said on the broadcast last night that they held on to, like, guys like Tyler Matzik, A.J. Minter, because they come on, you're gonna leave it to chance because of one good season. I don't agree with that, and I think it's BS. But and on another note, I think they should make Josh Tomlin the fifth starter once all our starters get back healthy. I think it'd be perfect as the fifth starter.
Could be. I agree, but see, this hurts though because this, you know, as a Cubs fan, last night hurt. As someone that, you know, we break down the Braves, I couldn't be more ecstatic that they got the win. So, but no, you're right. But here's the last year. I don't think we can continue to compare what happened last year versus this year.
Exactly.
Because with last year being that 60-game sprint, I mean, I think managers, pitchers, and everybody, I think they treated it so much differently last year than what they are this year. And you're seeing a lot of these managers around the majors that are having to rethink how they do the games. And I'm wondering if that's a little bit of the Braves' problem. I mean, yeah, they're not hitting. I mean, they got 10 hits last night, and they got 8 runs. So the offense is there. But you look around the majors, there's nights where the offense just falls out for teams completely all across Major League Baseball.
Very true. Very true. But staying on the pitcher subject, do you guys know who's going to become available, before the trade deadline, someone that we could possibly pick up? Because I really haven't heard too much about that.
Let me see. I haven't heard too much right now because I think if you take a look around Major League Baseball right now, and I think it's too early to probably sit there and say, okay, this team is going to sell and this team is going to buy right now.
Right. Isn't the trade deadline in July?
Yeah. So, I think it's too early to sit here and say, because if you look, teams like, the New York Yankees are at the bottom of the AL East. They are probably not going to sell come trade deadline. I wouldn't imagine. But you look at a team like Baltimore, they're 10-12. They're hanging around there. Detroit, Minnesota, those teams may be the ones that unload somebody closer to the trade deadline. So if they have a pitcher or two in there, you might be able to get something. Texas is struggling right now. So right now, I think it's too early to sit here and say, okay, this person's going to be available come trade deadline to bolster your rotation.
No, Shay, it's way too early because don't forget about, I guess this is 2 years ago now, but don't forget that it didn't, I think it was mid-May, late May, and the Nationals were dead last in the division before they went on a huge run to go win the World Series. So it's way too early for buying and selling. And again, I agree with you. The Braves bullpen still wasn't great last night, but at least they figured out what a baseball was, and they're supposed to swing at it. Because they had one hit names, so at least the offense. Well, you saw Freddie Freeman get hot, and again, I knew Scott wouldn't be happy because, as he said, he's a Cubs fan. Been a Cubs fan for a long. Really, it's kind of interesting. The Cubs and the Braves are kind of images of each other right now.
No, we were hot. We won like 4 in a row, playing real. Now we've won. Now they've lost 3 in a row, and
that's what I'm saying. The Braves have done the same thing. The Braves have been four down, and they've been in a funk. So it's way early. And again, they're coming off of a 60-game season. The trade deadline was in the middle of a 60-game run. It was sooner. But the Braves' biggest problem, and I went on a rant about it yesterday, Shane. It's still the same deal. It's Liberty Media. That's why they don't have Melanson now. They'll hide behind. Well, he didn't have stuff. Blah blah blah. They're given budget constraints that they have to go by, and Anthopoulos decided to sign Drew Smiley. Hopefully he'll start getting somebody out. But if he continues to struggle, I think they're going to have to put him in the bullpen. But whatever.
Well, think about this though: as bad and as many struggles as they had.
Yeah,
you go 14 innings, you give up, you get 1 hit, you don't score a run. You're up, you're down, whatever. You're just a game and a half out of first place.
The division itself,
10-12
the East
overall,
has been horrible.
Yeah, you're just a game and a half out of first, and you have figure things out.
Nobody has been very good at all.
Yes. So that's the silver lining. Yeah. If you're looking at anything, you're just a game and a half out of first, and you haven't figured things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, the thing is, you guys watch baseball every year. Normally hitters can start out struggling and then get hot later in the season. But a lot of times when pitchers start struggling at the beginning of the season, sometimes that's a telltale of what's going to happen throughout the season. Sometimes pitchers do get hot after struggling, but most of the time that's only on the offensive side. Not pitchers, but I'm just worried about it because we didn't make the right moves before the season, and I'm scared that we won't make the right moves before the trade deadline. But I'm just going to watch and see and pray and hope we get better. I want us to win a game easily. I'm tired of being nervous right before I go to bed every night.
Well, that's just the way it's been so far. That's baseball. But certainly it was last night was the bats coming around and scoring some runs, and then Smith actually closing the door. It got a little interesting there, but he was able to get out of it and and get the save. So at least the Braves were able to win the game, and it felt a lot better than what we saw against the Diamondbacks, where the offense was just flatlined. So they've got to get a lot of guys going, and hopefully that was an impetus to do that. I mean, the Cubs, this will be their only trip to Atlanta for the year. Then it always seems like it's pretty early, even though I've remembered in the past, though, that at times it has been in September, because several years ago, over 10 years ago, back in 2006 was my first trip to the then Turner Field, because I had not been to see a Braves game in a long, long time to see the Cubs. So, but again, hopefully the Braves will get it going. But that was a step in the right direction. It wasn't pretty. You at this point in time, if you're the Braves, you just take the win.
That is true. Like I mentioned, you're 10-12, but yet you're just a game and a half out of first place. So
go ahead.
If Will Smith comes out attacking like he did last night as a closer, he would be much, much better off, because I mean that's the first time he's come out and attacked like that. And if we'll be all right on that. But I'm just hoping everything comes together. But you guys have a good morning. It was good talking to you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's your Major League Baseball Atlanta Braves update right there. The Mets leading the East 9-8, Philly 11-11, and then the Braves and the Marlins there at 10-12. Washington they're at 8-11. So that is your Major League Baseball. High school baseball was played yesterday as well. Belgreen gets by Valley Head in Class 1A play. Belgreen wins that series to move on. Cold Springs gets by North Sand Mountain 5-3 in Class 2A. Cold Springs wins that series to move on. And then Brooks gets by St. John Paul II 5-2 in Class 4A. Brooks wins that series 2-1 to move on.
Yeah, it was great to be out there at St. John Paul yesterday to see the baseball. It was actually my first high school baseball in person to see that Game 3. There were Game 3s that you just went over in North Alabama. Most of them just went 2. And, of course, the reason we were playing yesterday is the weather. I mean, it got inclement on Saturday. So, but it was really nice, mild weather out there. It was a 5-2 game. It came down to a few key plays. There was a bang play at the plate where Brooks did a great job executing on a ground ball through a young man out at the plate, and then they had a big at bat late where it was still just 4-2 with 2 out and 2 on, and JP2. A young 10th grade outfielder flew out deep into the corner. Into the left field corner, actually. It was a really nice play by the Brooks left fielder. So it just came down to Brooks executing defensively, and a couple didn't fall in for St. John Paul, but they have no seniors. They're a ball club that's going to definitely continue to get better. Their baseball field's only 3 years old, and they're getting ready to build a press box facility, concession/locker room building that's going to go up soon. Their softball field just opened this year, so they're continuing to expand their facilities. They've got a practice football field that hopefully eventually is going to turn into their stadium, and soccer has been being played there. So St. John Paul II is a growing school, and it was good to be out there and kind of just see some baseball yesterday and see a Game 3 that was a pretty well played, clean game. And congrats to Brooks from over here over in the Shoals in North Alabama for moving on to the second round. But a good year for St. John Paul from the standpoint of all their youth, 8th, 9th, 10th graders, just about all those guys, and winning their first area championship in regular season play this year.
All right, so the high school baseball playoffs will roll on this week with second round action. We'll keep you updated, check in with that as the week goes on, because we're going to try to cram so much in the final 2 days of this week, because Drew live Thursday and Friday from the Huntsville Championship up at the Ledges. You have the NFL draft going on Thursday and Friday. You got second round of the state baseball playoffs that'll get underway possibly Thursday and Friday from around our area. State soccer going on. You've got, so we're going to try to cram as much as we can into the final 4 days of the show. So stay with us. It's got a lot to get to.
It is, and hopefully the weather will be good this weekend, but there is a chance there could be some sketchy weather on Friday, so we'll just have to wait and see. So that's why Scott's referring to there could be a high school baseball moved up
could be
Thursday earlier in the week, because they're giving a little bit of flexibility with that there. So certainly we'll keep you updated on that if some games get moved. Nothing official yet, of course, but we will see if that happens. And again, congratulations for a great year to Joe Sotolano and the JP2 Falcons. And again, congratulations to Brooks for moving on.
Well, St. Clair at Madison Academy has already been scheduled for Thursday. So that one is already slated for Thursday. Game 3, if needed, will be Friday at 4:30. They're going to play at 5 and 7, St. Clair and Madison Academy on Thursday. So we already have a Thursday contest slated for the state baseball playoffs. That's the only one right now in the state that is slated to play on Thursday. Coming up here in just a few minutes, Vince Ferrara is going to join the show as we break down that Tennessee spring game. And we were going to talk about this. We were on the path to bring this up yesterday, but then Deontay Brown was able to join us. So we pivoted and we got Deontay Brown, Drew. And I watched a little bit of the Tennessee spring game on Saturday. And the one thing I did take away from it is that Josh Heupel's offense at Tennessee ability to score a 50-point game. Defensively, Tennessee has the ability to give up 100 points a game, which doesn't compute to wins, but it's going to be entertaining, I think, none the least.
Well, I mean, certainly, as I said, I just from studying it a little bit, I didn't get a chance to watch any of it, but from just studying the way the game was.
Go fast, I'll just say that.
I mean, looking at Vince Ferrara's breakdowns, and I even saw some of his halftime stuff. I saw some tweets from half. This is like Bobby Petrino, the sequel all over again, where the quarterbacks are all going to look good, the offense is going to look good and score points, and the defense can't stop running water. I mean, that's pretty much what it ends up being. And you know, for several years, Petrino had a lot of success doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's now you know, kind of having to earn his way back up. I think he's at Southeast Missouri, and they got throttled in the first round of the FCS playoffs this past Saturday. But again, when he was at Louisville twice and Arkansas and places like that, they always offensively, quarterbacks, receivers, 4 points. It's just defensively, they always left a lot to be desired most of the time.
Well, Harrison Bailey looked okay. Good. Hendon Hooker took some snaps on Saturday. Caden Salter was suspended, so he was not there. And then you look at Michigan's Joe Milton, who Tennessee, I don't think, has officially said that he is transferring to Tennessee, but he will probably be in that quarterback battle come fall. That's the quarterback race. Defense, I mean, it was interesting to watch. So much so that ESPN, if you watched it on the SEC network, they tried to make it like a spring game and show cutaways and try to do some interviews, you know, to make it a spring game. But they were going so fast that every time they flipped back to the coverage, the play was already half over.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what you got on the TV. But Vince Ferrara will join us on the flip side as he helps us break down what happened inside Neyland Stadium.
Yes, we will be joined by Vince Ferrara of Sports Radio WNML when we get back from this break on Talkin Ball.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Scotterick in Morgan County, 67 South and Ransom Road. That one may have a minor injury involved. 565 in Glen Hearn came in as a no injury. HPD should be there. Looking at traffic through the area, not causing any major problem. From Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device. Insurance accepted for sleep apnea and for snoring. 350-CARE or Randall Sandlin. Captain Nick. Snoring. 350-CARE or Randall Sandlin.
Welcome back to Talkin Ball 97.7 ESPN, the Zones. Talkin Ball, Scott Tyson, DeArmond, and we are back with you. And the reason why you had no audio on the commercial break was because, well, I hit the external button and no audio goes through. So you should have audio now if you're listening to us on the stream for, well, maybe not quite yet. Now you should have it. But anyway, we're talking Tennessee football, spring football going on for Tennessee inside Neyland Stadium on Saturday. A lot of anticipation, I guess, with the Josh Heupel first spring because we wanted to see how much he was going to show of his offense on Saturday.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be an offensive-oriented scrimmage, no doubt about it. Tennessee, a lot of suspensions, and just the transfer portal has hit them hard defensively. They've definitely got a rebuild to do. They've got to continue to hit the portal, especially along the D-line and linebackers. But who better than to help us break down the first orange and white game this past Saturday under Josh Heupel than Vince Ferrara of Sports Radio WNML and, of course, the Vols IMG Radio Network. Vince, welcome back to Huntsville. You were through, and Scott, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be on with you guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to say, great job charting absolutely everything you need to know about the orange and white game. And I guess the consensus is what we've learned is there is no front runner right now, perhaps at the quarterback position at Tennessee. Or in your mind, is there, Vince? Because I know it's been a little bit back and forth among the top four guys.
It's crazy because going into spring practice, I would have said that Harrison Bailey probably had the slightest of edge over the other guys with not having seen Hendon Hooker in a Tennessee uniform and Brian Maurer's inconsistency. I thought he would be behind the other two guys. Then through the first half of camp, Maurer looked to throw the ball the best. I mean, not only in the practices, not only what you heard behind closed doors, but then when we had the open practice at Neyland, which was nice, he looked to throw the football the best. He looked like he'd improved from a year ago. Then in the second half of practice, it was more Hendon Hooker. And you started to hear that maybe he was the guy with his experience and he had come along and settled in. So then, he took over that spot. And then seeing them in the spring game, Harrison Bailey looked the best. Now, he had the best numbers, but I thought the eye test followed that up and validated that as well. Now, what does it all mean in the grand scheme of things? I mean, you have to dive into the numbers a little bit. Harrison Bailey had the most work with the first team. That's a good sign, right? And then also he had 3 drives where Hooker had 2 and Maurer just had 1 with the first team. Then when you look at who he went up against, Bailey only went up against the first team defense 1 time, whereas Maurer and Hooker went up against the first team 3 times. Now, what does that mean? Well, when you look at what the first team did throughout the entire spring game, they only gave up 2 touchdowns, which you say it's 2 touchdowns, but that was on 7 drives. And overall, there was 10 of 17 drives that ended in touchdowns. So someone was giving up TDs. Someone was allowing the offense to get into the checkerboards.
Right.
But the first team defense did a pretty good job there. And so there is all those players that were missing, especially the front 7, to go up against the first team. It's not a juggernaut, even if they have all those guys back, but there was a drop-off. So you have to take that into consideration as well. And then you bring in Joe Milton into the mix, and it really makes you think that they're not totally satisfied with what they had at the QB position going in, and that's without even ever having seen Caden Salter, at least in an official practice setting, because the true freshman from Texas has been suspended. So they could be looking at 5 scholarship quarterbacks, and they will when Milton is officially in and when Salter is off his suspension.
Well, I think Vols fans, I think everybody was anticipating or wanting to see exactly how fast this offense would be. There's one, and we've talked about it on this show, and I believe we talked about it with you. It's a different thing to go out there and say you're going to be fast and then slow it down and then, be fast. We saw a fast-moving offense out there on Saturday.
We did. I mean, there was times where they were off in under 10 seconds, and that's unheard of at the University of Tennessee. And like that they did is something that's very basic. I've seen Heupel do it at UCF. Together.
as we head into the overnight. Not a bad Wednesday across the Tennessee Valley. Once again, temperatures hanging out in the lower 80s. Some of us could actually see 80s, dropping into the low and mid 60s as we head into the overnight. Then we're talking about our next opportunity for rain through Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
Rain through Thursday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7.
At plus 1,800 and Corey Connors and Victor Hovland each at plus 2,000. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have signed a 2-fight deal to unify the heavyweight titles, with the winner to be the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 2000. The two will fight in June in Saudi Arabia, with Fury the moneyline favorite at minus 175 and Joshua at plus 145. The latest NBA championship futures: the Nets the favorite to win the title at plus 250, the Lakers at plus 340, Clippers at plus 550, and the Jazz and Bucks each at plus 800.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott.
As always, this segment of Talking Ball brought to you by our very good friends over at Terrell Technical Services Incorporated in Madison. They offer that full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold and bacteria, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspection assessments and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff holds all U.S. EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Terrell Technical Services a call today at 256-461-978 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. And time for us to talk some college football, the state, I guess you could say, of college football with our next guest, because he seems to have a very good pulse on what is going on in the college football world.
And there's a lot going on with the name, image, and likeness. Also with the proposals for preseason camp changes in college football, and of course, no one knows Kim Mulkey better than our next guest. He writes for Sports Illustrated, covering nationally college football, but for many years covered the beat for the Advocate for LSU, and that is Ross Dellenger. Ross, it's great to have you back on in Huntsville with Drew and Scott. How are you this morning?
Good, guys. How are y'all?
Doing good, Ross. Thanks for joining us. I know you you guys at Sports Illustrated, and you have been very busy, whether it comes to name, image, and likeness there inside the Capitol and Washington, D.C., to college football wanting to change how they do preseason practices.
Yes, it's last off season wasn't really an off season. We had all the COVID stuff, and it was as busy as an off season as I feel like I've ever had. And this off season is off to a pretty busy start. We've got a lot going on, and something tells me that we'll have another off season that's very, very busy, and involves a lot of in-state legislative and congressional, maybe even legislative items. And as you mentioned there's two there. You mentioned the NIL with Congress, and then the NCAA's own, pending legislation on fall camp, and both are going to be impactful. They're both coming down the pipe here, and they both could change a lot certainly about college football.
Well, and I guess for our listeners, I know you recently wrote this just a few days ago. You kind of took a look inside the industry with NIL. I mean, is it going to hit the ground running this summer, or how quickly do you think this is going to become a huge factor?
Well, yeah. I think it's up to 4 states have passed NIL laws that kick in and take effect on July 1. And so on July 1, those states will have laws that take effect, and those student athletes at schools in those states will be able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. And you'll probably have from now until then, you'll probably have more states joining them. There'll be as many as probably 8, 10, 12 states that will have laws that start July 1. And then the NCAA will probably pass its own legislation to kick in August 1. And the problem is the NCAA NIL legislation will not be the same as some of these state laws. So there'll be some different laws and different rules. People will be playing literally by different rules until Congress can create a kind of overall, universal federal law, which probably isn't going to happen until it seems like into the fall or even 2022.
Wow, Alabama, one of those states that passed the law to let the athletes take advantage of name, image, and likeness come July.
Yeah. So Alabama joined Mississippi and Florida, and I believe New Mexico is the other one of those states. Starting July 1, athletes can profit off of endorsement deals and commercial deals and things like that. But like I said, there'll be more probably joining them. I think there's a movement in California to move up their implementation of their legislation from 2023 to 2021 as well. I think Nebraska, maybe even Colorado have laws on the books that where their effect date can be kind of changed as well. New Jersey, the same. So there'll be they're going to end up being a lot of states in the same boat there.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be a very interesting, next few months. With a lot of these states, as you talked about, there's 4 of them, and Alabama being one. They're trying to get ahead of this. With programs like Alabama and Auburn in our state, do you think are they going to start creating almost jobs and parts of their athletic department that their sole purpose is going to be to kind of delve into NIL?
Yeah, and you guys have to forgive me. I'm sitting outside of my patio. It's a little noisy here. I think that what you're going to see is most schools are going to hire more compliance officers first.
Yeah, of course.
Just to oversee and run this thing. I think most schools at least plan to hire kind of at least a part-time kind of worker, extra worker. But you might see a couple of full-times hired. So there's that's going to happen. And then as I wrote about last week, as you mentioned, a lot of schools will be hiring NIL platform type companies. And their job is to kind of regulate and oversee this issue. Their job is to help student athletes build up their brand, learn about, education about NIL. And some of them offer what's called a marketplace. And it's basically just like a job board where athletes go, put their profiles up, and brands and companies, can see their profiles and match with them. Basically, it's like kind of a matchmaking site, for business, so to speak. And it's like any other job board, for a regular job. But this one is linking athletes with businesses for the commercial and endorsement opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It is so much red tape, and you have been at the forefront of this. You've been through the meetings there with this, with the government going through all of this. And what was it? Mark Emmert still believes that, is he still, do you think, under the impression that they can get this done through Congress pretty fast?
He seems to be under that impression that they could get a congressional bill that would be kind of a federal universal bill, which would really put everybody out. You have these varying state laws that differ from one another. You have the NCAA's own legislation that differs. So I think most people are in agreement that a universal federal bill will be the way to go. The problem is, Congress doesn't move very quickly, and Mark Emmert seems to think that they could still move on this by July 1, and that seems like a really far stretch right now. And I think you're more likely to see that come late in the fall or even January 2022, maybe have some congressional bill. But as Bob Bowlesby, Big 12 commissioner, has told me multiple times, nothing sparks movement in Congress like chaos, and that creates pressure, and we're going to see a little chaos in college sports, and it could create some pressure to get Congress moving.
Well, speaking of pressure, my blood pressure. Reading I was reading your of course did an outstanding job detailing what the College Football Oversight Committee wants to do to tweak preseason football camp and to make some changes. I know that the concepts are thought-provoking. Currently, I'm not in favor of taking out and lessening the contact practices, just because I kind of feel like it opens up to more injuries if you don't work on tackling. But how likely are some of these preseason camp changes going to be coming to fruition in your mind after seeing the concepts put out by the committee?
Well, camp is definitely changing. I don't know to what model they'll exactly pick. I assume the model I wrote about is the one they'll eventually pick. But they are right now in the process of getting feedback from conferences. So the way the NCAA oversight works and the NCAA legislation process works is a subgroup of a committee basically creates a model through interviews and research, and then that model is presented to the full committee, the oversight committee with football oversight committee, and then that model, you take about 2 weeks, and that model is distributed among all of the schools and conferences and all the coaches, and feedback is a chain. And then they meet again. They'll meet again May 6th. They'll meet again. The oversight committee will to discuss the feedback of this model. And barring something unforeseen, I think the model will be amended to the D1 Council. Usually it's kind of a rubber stamp they'll put on it. So that's kind of the process. But yeah, coaches, I can tell you, are not fans of this model. Many of them, they are concerned, as you mentioned, with not having enough contact in camp to prepare players, especially young players, for live game contact. And so what the NCAA done, to give your listeners some specifics, is you have 25 practices each camp, and normally 21 of them could be full contact and full pads. There wasn't really any regulation. And now what the oversight is doing is putting a regulation on that and saying you can only have 8 of the 25 camp practices in full pads, and 8 more in shells, which shoulder pads and helmets, but you can't take to the ground and tackle when you wear pads and helmets. And then the other 9 are required to be in just helmets only with no contact. The thing is as I'm calling around coaches, working on some other things about this, many coaches don't go 21 practices in full pads. Some coaches, in fact, don't go any full pad practices at all anymore. The big change will be the 9 practices in helmets only with no contact. Coaches mainly say they go about 3, 4, 5 of those instead of 9. So they basically just go in shells more. And so that would be the big change. And of course, they're eliminating some of the straight line collision drills like Oklahoma, the bull in the ring, the board drill. And some coaches have abolished those already, but many of them still do a little bit of the Oklahoma drill, and a lot of them do the board drill. And so that's going to be interesting going forward to see exactly what, if there are any changes that come with those recommendations.
Yeah. So, I mean, they will present it. I can imagine there are a few football coaches. I mean, Drew and I were talking about this yesterday. What was it? Navy and BYU,
Navy
because of
didn't have any
COVID,
contact.
they didn't have any contact, and we saw what did that game. I think a lot of fans at first are thinking, "Oh my gosh, we're going to see some really sloppy college football if this goes through."
Absolutely, that's a good point. The game was, against BYU. I was actually at that game. Worst Navy game that has ever looked that I can recall. It was really bad, and I think you can learn a little bit from that game. They had basically no contact all preseason, and then their coach Ken, and I'm not going to try to say his last name because I always seem to botch it up, but he changed mid-season or after that first game and decided to start having contact, and lo and behold, they started playing better, and so that's a big concern from coaches. Certainly, is that it would be out of the 25, it would be 16 total days in shells where you can have contact. 8 of those days where you can actually bring to the ground in full tackle. And they just, I think they would like to rather see it 18 to 20 days in shells or better. Rather than 16, but I have a feeling that model really isn't going to change, and so they're going to have to adapt in some way. And will we see an impact on the field? Probably so. There'll probably be some coaches have told me there'll probably be some worse, tackling could be an issue certainly that you could see, and then just the run game, especially the inside run game is going to be something where you need a lot of contact and practice contact. And if you can't have enough of it, then you're going to see it show up in games.
Well, and then one before we switch to Kim Mulkey really quick, I've also got to believe that they in favor of losing a scrimmage, because I mean a lot of times scrimmages are where jobs are won or lost with young guys.
Yeah, I think it's something we didn't mention. You get about a normal camp, you get 3.5 scrimmages a camp. So and now they're cutting that down to 2 scrimmages, which I think most coaches would say they usually have 3, so it's probably 1 fewer scrimmage. And then the other thing is the time limit. No more than 90 minutes of full contact in any practice or scrimmage. So there's that as well. I think the biggest thing I hear from coaches as I'm working on a follow-up story is just the overall number of days in shells. In the required 9 days of non-contact, days of 25, is over 1/3 of practices with non-contact, and that seems to be a big issue.
Well, Ross, before we talk about, you did have a chance, though, to sit down with new Auburn head coach Brian Harsin and pick his brain on why he ultimately decided to leave Boise State to try his luck in the SEC.
I did, yeah. I was happened to be kind of passing through that area, swung in and saw Brian late in February, and it was a great conversation and talked a lot about why he left Boise and why he chose Auburn, and and then I was able to get in touch with a lot of his former coaches in Boise and just the whole dynamic. You've had a lot of coaches be successful there at Boise and then leave for bigger jobs. And I was kind of chronicling how and why that happened, and Brian's just the latest one. Before him, you have obviously Chris Peterson left for Washington, Dan Hawkins left for Colorado, and even going all the way back to now his name is escaping me, went to Arizona State and was the longtime Falcons coordinator in Tampa Bay head coach.
Yeah, Dirk Cutter. Yeah,
first one. Dirk Cutter. Yeah, I mean, he kind of started it all in a way, and so there's this long line of coaches. But so Brian is the latest one and probably has the toughest leap. He's probably making the toughest leap into the most difficult conference, most difficult division, and in a state that Nick Saban coaches in. So it's certainly a tough chore. Most of his colleagues believe he's cut out to do it. He's certainly a motivated guy. It'll be interesting to watch.
It really will. And as we're wrapping it up with Ross Dellenger of Sports Illustrated, Ross, there's no one really closer to Kim Mulkey and her family than you. I was reading one of your tweets, and really it brought back memories, because I remember seeing someone back in 2017, I think, had tweeted out or put out a picture of you late into the night talking to Kim Mulkey after Kramer Robertson, her son, and LSU go back to the College World Series that year on that great run. But this is historic, what's going on. We've never seen a coach of the caliber of a Kim Mulkey leave a job to take another, and now LSU women's basketball making a huge national splash with her going back to her native state.
Yeah, I covered, as you mentioned, I covered Kim Mulkey's son. Kramer Robertson was an infielder on LSU's baseball team when I was a beat writer there in Baton Rouge, and so I got to know him, got to know the family, got to know her pretty well, and yeah, it's a huge move, certainly. And Kim is from Louisiana originally, and I think she loves the people there. And if you spend a little time around her, you'll know that she's very Louisiana in a lot of different ways, and I think she's going to fit in quite well there.
There's no doubt. I think it's a great move for women's basketball and for the SEC, no question about it, to get her to come back home and to bring 3 national championships and the pedigree that she has brought, no doubt. But Ross, man, we appreciate the time and the knowledge. You do an outstanding job for Sports Illustrated, and let everybody know how to connect with you. And obviously, you've got some big time stuff coming up as you've kind of hinted with these changes coming to fall camp.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff. This week is kind of bogged down with my colleagues writing about the draft in the Kentucky Derby, but then next week we'll hopefully have some stuff coming out. But more stuff a little bit about it and how coaches feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ross.
Yeah, thanks, Ross.
All right, guys. See y'all.
Ross Dellenger joining us from Sports. Interesting thoughts there on the changes with college football, Drew. College coaches
don't like the fact that they're dropping a scrimmage. Think it's stupid. And then, I don't like, the 9 practices with no contact, because that's not what football is.
Yes.
So to me, it just, and I understand it's the safety issue, but trust me, things have improved exponentially. I think sometimes these oversight committees overreact, and I'm going to be interested to see if there is any tweaks to it going forward, or if they're going to be able to get all this through. If I were, a college head coach, I would be wanting to have a 3rd scrimmage, because I just think that's where jobs are won.
Right.
And I wouldn't mind if it was maybe 5 non-contact practices, but having 9, I think, is just too many.
Well, and I don't understand why they would not like the SEC's model of wanting to extend it out, extending camp another week,
because
and then
they
spend
hate
it out.
the SEC, because the SEC beats the hell out of them. That's why.
So if this was the ACC suggesting this, or the Pac-12, it goes through?
I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of those power brokers are behind this. I mean, that are outside of the SEC. So that's why I think they're trying to do it. They're still going to lose, okay?
Right?
Because they still suck. But I mean, they're just not good enough. But I mean, but it is what it is. I know the game's changed. Just think, we brought up that Navy game. The less contact you have, it's going to take longer to get guys in the rhythm and going. And I still think it heightens the chance for injury, but that's just me.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll continue our talk, NFL draft, and more.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck on 72 west of County Line at Burr Green. That one's got injuries and some westbound blockage. They're clearing one on Highway 67 at Ransom Road in Morgan County, but now we got one on 67 at South Bethel Road. So it's going to be a slow go for you there. 31 in Nance Ford may still have some utility work going on. That's also in Morgan County. Everything else from earlier should have been cleared by now. The Somnodent from Dr. Sandman's an easy-to-use oral device, insurance approved for sleep apnea and for snoring. Doctor visit, please don't put them off. 350-CARE or RandallSandlin.com. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
There's nothing worse than overhype, so we won't go overboard telling you how Taco Bell's Quesalupa is back with its cheese-stuffed shell. We'll skip the Quesalupa air shows and making a statue in honor of how there's cheese in every bite. Marvelous. And we won't send one to the moon. Instead, we'll pass on all the fanfare and just tell you, Taco Bell's Quesalupa has returned, and we think you'll like it. At Prince locations for a limited time.
Terrell Technical Services in Madison offers a full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing, and water management plans, lead-based paint inspections, assessments, and abatement, environmental site assessment, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff holds all EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Terrell Technical Services a call today at 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety. And go Army!
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporting new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
Coming up next, it's the Tom Abraham Show with me, Tom Abraham. Now back to more Talkin Ball with Scott and Drew.
On you are. $8:28 here on this Tuesday morning. Just want to remind everybody that Saturday, May 1st, you can get your sports physicals through SportsMed at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Trash Panda Stadium. It's just $10. Again, sports physicals courtesy of SportsMed Fitness or SportsMed, the complete orthopedic care. All athletes, any school, club, grades 6 through 12 is welcome. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., Trash Panda Stadium. All you need to do is bring a printed copy of the state-required physical form there, and you can have your sports physical Saturday, May 1st. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday. Go get from SportsMed. That's going on out there at the Toyota Field. So you can see the new ball field and get a physical at the same time.
Yeah, and then, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't just pay homage on this 10-year anniversary of the tornadoes that affected the state so severely, especially the city of Tuscaloosa. And here, I can remember where I was. I was trying to wait out everything in a covered over at Parkway Place Mall in the covered parking lot because there was storms going through, hail. There was, it was so severe. Now it affected us here, but not nearly as much as it did Birmingham and especially Tuscaloosa. And we know good friend Shannon Brown, who's part of this community for so long, lost his daughter who was a student in Tuscaloosa at the time. We remember what happened to Carson Tinker, the long snapper, losing his girlfriend in that. And then, of course, he, was so lucky to survive. But we just wanted to pay homage to all those folks. Tuscaloosa's come a long way in 10 years. And in many ways, what happened there kind of galvanized Nick Saban with the community. They've built, I want to say, 17 houses now for folks that have been affected, that lost property and or their home in those in the 10 years with the Knicks Kids Foundation. They've helped people get new places to live and things of that nature. But it was a horrible day, but certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to those that were adversely affected by it, Scott. And it's something you'll never forget. And even when you drive through Tuscaloosa now, it's changed a lot in those areas. And as soon as you go through certain intersections and things, your mind flashes back. But again, kudos to Tuscaloosa and the state of Alabama continuing to recover. But again, thoughts and prayers to those, and especially Shannon Brown and his family for what they had to endure.
Yeah, I remember that day. And, while Tuscaloosa gets a lot of the coverage, there was a lot more of it up here in North Alabama.
Yep.
I remember that day. I remember driving around and started my day early. And in the sports world on the TV side, when days like that happen, you really take a back seat because safety and severe weather is at the first and utmost forefront. And I remember being shifted to news coverage and driving around and seeing some of these tornadoes fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
And
because it was all day long. It's crazy.
It was
We've never
all
seen
day.
anything like that. One tornado after another.
And then I remember it hitting out by the Tanner area.
Yep.
Coming through, and it wiped out at the time. It wiped out our radar. It flat out just took out our weather radar at the time. And I remember those next few days, and I think everybody here in the city of Huntsville will remember. You drive down the parkway at night. Remember, there was a curfew. You could not be out on the streets. I think past, 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock that night. You drive down the parkway, and the whole city had no power. Remember that? We were all out of power for about a week and a half.
Yeah, that was the crazy thing.
And you
with
the
my
parkway,
parents.
and it's just completely
Black.
dark. There's no street lights on. There's no store lights on. No nothing. And you're driving down the roads, and it's just completely dark. I remember the people driving to find generators, trying to find any source of power during that time. It was a difficult time, but I remember actually reconnecting with a lot of people because I remember our house. We had a lot of meat in the freezer that was going bad.
So you got to cook that meat.
We fired the grill up and was just cooking anything and everything with the neighbors and everybody. And you turn a tough time to the best of positive times that you can. And I remember that. But April 27th, 2011, I believe it was around 260, 270 reported tornadoes that day. It was just a wow time. But yeah, yes, you're right. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of it. Yep. So the NFL draft is getting ready to go on, and like we said, less than a little over 72 hours. On Thursday, we will have the first round of the draft, and obviously you'll be able to hear a lot of it right here on ESPN. Here is another take on this year's draft.
The options that the Falcons have. You think about a new head for Smith, new GM, and think about a quarterback Lance to be the heir apparent, to Matt Ryan. That's perfect for Lance. He needs a couple years to sit, watch, and learn. Or do you help out Matt Ryan? Don't draft his heir apparent, but actually help him over the next 2 to 3 years, win a lot of games and put up big offensive stats with Kyle Pitts, the tight end receiver receiving entity out of Florida. So if you go Pitts, it tells you they're committed to Matt Ryan. They know that he has probably got really good years. They want to make a run at it. They want to try to outscore people. If you take Trey Lance, you're thinking, we're not going to be picking up here anytime soon. If we want to get up here, we got to trade up. So let's take Lance. That's a tough call. And trading out, you also hear as an option for Atlanta that they will explore. So they hold the whole key to the entire top 10, top 15 of round one.
Well, we know this. They draft Trey Lance going because I'd want to be because it's called suckage. But to me, they need to draft Kyle Pitts, try to figure out to rejigger their salary cap and try to win some freaking games. because I still think Matt Ryan can play. I don't think he's what he once was. He's not going to go out and win an MVP, but I still think if you're the Atlanta Falcons and you got Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones and some of these other weapons, aren't you trying to win now, or are you just scrapping it and totally rebuilding? Because look, here's the way I look at it. They, to me, still have a 2 to 3 year window to try to win some games. And then because Julio's 32 years old, so you're going to end up having to give some guys, they're going to end up moving. But at least try to win and not rebuild because, and they're talking about, you only get a chance to be in the top. Man, look, if eventually in 2 to 3 more years, if you decide to completely rebuild, you're probably going to have to have a top 5 pick. There's going to be another quarterback. Stop acting like that these 5 quarterbacks are the only ones. They keep saying, well, next year's crop doesn't look great. Man, they didn't even know who Mac Jones was.
Be rich.
Man. They didn't even know who he was.
Right.
And nobody knew who Trey Lance was 2 years ago. These guys emerge. So to me, it's an excuse. You're trying to win for your fans, or are you rebuilding and you stink? That's what it basically comes down to. So if Falcons, I'm their fan base, Matt Ryan, while he's not an MVP anymore, he's still echelon, QB in the National Football League. And if you get him a Kyle Pitts, if you have Julio, if you have, Calvin Ridley, and then you can even address running back in the draft at some point, because again, running backs, you're going to be able to find some guys probably in the mid rounds. Then you can still have an exciting offense and you can still try to be a trade. And of course, the rest of the draft supplement what you did. So bring some guys in there defensively. If you hired an offensive minded head coach, and to me, I can't get over the fact that he's also a tight ends coach.
Right.
And I just think you draft the best player at number 4. You don't quarterback that may or may not be good. You draft Kyle Pitts, or you trade down to get more picks and players.
All right, let's go to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Be Rich with us on a Tuesday morning. Good morning, sir.
You want Pitt. You want Pitt. You want Pitt.
Yeah, I
hey,
completely agree.
This is a no-brainer, Drew. And listen, I'm here. I heard all the trade talks and that stuff. They're saying they're in such a bad way with the salary cap. Even after the draft, they may trade Julio even after the draft. Well, if they do, they're going to need another weapon, and that weapon is Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, they can't trade Julio until after the draft. It's got to be after June 1st until they can trade Julio, so they can avoid the big salary cap hit.
Absolutely. Am I hoping they trade him? Absolutely not. I would love to see Julio, spend his entire career as a Falcon, selfishly, because I'm a Falcons fan. But I do understand that I want him to, be a contender, get on any team. If you take Kyle Pitts, it helps you with that. So I just asked the Packers how that first-round pick worked out last year. I don't even think who's a Packers fan, I don't even think Love on the active roster last year. I may be incorrect on that, but I think there were games I don't even think he dressed, and they spent a first-round pick on him last year to do that. So I selfishly want to see him take Pitts. It would be a complete punch in the gut if the Falcons traded that pick, and the team that traded up came and got Pitts and just took him from right out from underneath their nose. He's a matchup nightmare. Falcons, do not mess this up.
Yeah, I completely, I'm on you the same wavelength as you are, B. Rich. I think it's a no-brainer pick because he may be the best player in the draft. The quarterbacks are always kind of overdrafted. So if you're the Falcons and Kyle Pitts drops in your lap, to me, I know defensively that's where the majority of your needs are. But again, to me, Kyle Pitts is the answer. You need a big play tight end. Hayden Hurst can be a good number 2. And you can still use him in the red zone in other areas, and of course with his blocking. But and then they've spent a lot of draft capital on the O-line. It's time to get these guys healthy and coach them up. I think Penei Sewell would be a good fit too, but I also think that they've already drafted guys, and I just think when you're talking about the 4th pick in the draft, you're trying to get a difference maker, and a difference maker for the Falcons would be Kyle Pitts, and he would be someone that we get the fans excited. And you're going to score points, but hopefully you can address defense later on in the draft and still make some moves on your roster via free agency or trade.
Yeah, there's not another guy like Kyle Pitts coming out in the next 10 years. It just ain't gonna happen.
That's a good point.
See you, fellas.
Thanks, B. Rich. And to B. Rich's point, Drew, Jordan Love was not active for the Green Bay Packers for one game last year. He was the third-string quarterback behind Tim Boyle and was not active for any game last year for the Green Bay Packers.
Their GM's already come out of the Packers and said that they're looking at Aaron Rodgers' contract and at least for the next
long term.
Yeah, well, and they're saying for the next 2 or 3 years he's our guy. So that means they're not planning on playing Jordan Love, and so he's over there hopefully developing, but you haven't seen enough of him. And if you're the Atlanta Falcons, again, if you draft Trey Lance, you're basically saying, okay, we're going to go with Ryan probably for one more year, and then we're going to start all over, and we're going to have to gut our roster. And guess what? When you do that, you're probably going to be drafted in the top 5 for 3 or 4 drafts in a row, not just one.
Well, there's one team that Skip Bayless says should move up and get a quarterback because they need one bad.
No.
You want to guess who that is?
They need one bad. They need a quarterback bad.
Yep.
Denver.
The Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't know if it hit him straight between the eyes.
Here is Skip Bayless on that.
And if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I swallow my considerable pride and I take a quarterback at number 6 because Tua will never, ever be the answer. I dug in on this ahead of his draft, and yet I dug in even more after I watched him last year because he has lost a lot of mobility because of his hip surgery. It was career threatening.
Yes.
And reportedly, he had 5 different surgeries while he was still at Alabama. The 2 ankles, he had a knee, he had one other one. A
fractured finger.
Finger, yeah. And this hip surgery. And it took a lot of him. He's only barely 6 feet tall, if that. And he's a soft armor. And then I hark back to the piece that was written in the Miami Herald. It was Armando Salguero's piece. He talked to 3 anonymously players, and they were shocked that in game number 7 that Fitzmagic lost his job in favor of Tua. It shook up that locker room.
I raised my hand. I was shocked too.
Yeah. Okay. And according to the article, the players aren't sure whether Tua will ever be good enough to compete with the elite quarterbacks in the AFC. That's true. That's what I believe. Like you'll always be frustrated because he's only this good and they're that good and that good and that good all around you.
Right.
Even within the division, he'll never be as good as Josh Allen. I don't know who Belichick's going to wind up with. I don't know which way the Jets are going to go, but Zach Wilson will. I don't think he'll ever be as good as Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's going to struggle if they throw him into the fire with what's left of the Jets.
Well, consider Zach Wilson going to the Jets. Any quarterback that's in that division going to be better than him because the Jets are terrible and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So one defensive player told the Miami Herald, not impressed with his velocity, his arm strength, his ability to make off-schedule plays with his legs. All that changed with he never had a strong arm to begin with. He had an accurate arm, but then he started getting beat up and he started losing his nerve in the pocket. He started losing some poise in the pocket because you just do.
Yep, the great Skip Bayless went to Vandy, where football's a disease. So all I'll say is, I disagree with that. I still think he's recovering from said, and I think it was a remarkable recovery because he was able to be ready for training camp, but I still think he was healing up. But see, the guy went 6-3 as a starter with a moronic offensive coordinator who didn't know how to use him. Period. End of story. I mean, sorry, never been a Chan Gailey fan, never will be. It's called mediocrity, no championships. Never won anything. So I don't think he's a great offensive mind, and so I think they needed to build the offense around Tua and his strengths. That's what they need to do.
Right.
I still think you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater in 1 year. You have to give a guy a chance to develop, a chance to put some players. Does he have a cannon? No, he doesn't have a cannon. I never said he did, but his arm's plenty damn strong enough. I mean, if the guy had an Oklahoma hat on, he'd be the greatest player of all time, according to Skip, and he would be making the most miraculous recovery of all time, and he would be about to set records. You'd never get rid of him. You don't ever hear him, criticize Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray or all those guys. And Tua, by the way, beat Kyler Murray. Owns his ass, by the way. Whipped his ass in college, whipped his ass in the NFL, and everybody thinks he's some rising star. So to me, I still think, Tua's got a chance to be a special player. Skip Bayless is wrong a lot more than he's right.
Right.
I mean, he's given a big platform by first ESPN and then Fox. Personally, I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. Never liked. But I mean, he's paid to give his have one. But I think right now it's certainly it's certainly to be determined. But if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm building around Tua, and I still think he can be a really good quarterback. Because, I mean, to me, he's talking about Zach Wilson. Hell, nobody was talking about Zach Wilson a year ago. He played against a bunch of tomato cans and put up a bunch of stats, and now everybody thinks he's some special quarterback because in a damn pro day, he threw the ball off his body 60 yards to somebody not even being covered. And so now all of a sudden it's like, oh, my Lord, Zach Wilson's a franchise quarterback. I mean, Tua did it against some big-time competition, man, in college. Zach Wilson didn't do it against squat, and neither did Trey Lance. And so, to me, there's
Trey Lance literally not against squat. He didn't even play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. He just did not. So, I think that really, to me, it's still Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence are far and away. And then Justin Fields, because Justin played against some comp. He did some things. People think I'm against Fields. I think he's still a first-round.
He did have a great 2019 year.
I would rank Fields third among those quarterbacks. I would rank Zach Wilson fourth and then Trey Lance fifth. I don't give a crap how strong his arm is or, oh, my Lord, he went up on the grease board and he did this and that. I don't think that, that either one of them against the caliber of competition needed. And if I'm honest with you, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, of course, he doesn't have to worry about it. He'd go in number one. But if I'm Mac Jones, I'm just thanking the Lord. I'm not going to the Jets. I mean, I wouldn't want to play for them. And I mean, I know our friend Phil Savage is part of their front office, but my Lord, the Jets suck. There's just no way I would want to subject myself to that organization. And, it is what it is.
Just think about the debate we would have if Trevor Lawrence was not in this draft. Which quarterback would be going not overall number one, but which quarterback would be going first? Mac, Trey, Zach, or Justin? Just think about that. If Trevor Lawrence was not in this,
I would really need some nerve medication then.
He wouldn't have taken that Jacksonville job. I bet you anything.
Probably not. That's a good point.
All right, let's get a break in when we come back. Tomorrow's headlines today.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're beginning to wind it down pretty quick. We still got a few folks in last-minute dash mode, but by and large, most are on time this morning. Still working on a wreck 72 in Burr Green. That's west of County Line. That one's got some westbound blockage. Also had some injuries, and they still may be working on 31 in Nance Ford. Had utility damage there with the wreck earlier this morning. Snelling has urgent need for LPNs, medical assistants, and medical receptionists. Resumes to jobs at Snelling, HSV.com. In the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
You know it, and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. A 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 20-foot side assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, when your gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blade. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope you soon.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Hayden of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what part from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy if you visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well, in fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
When you call most roofing companies, there is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here trusted Fleming 5 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This segment of Talkin Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Roll Tide, War Eagle, and yeah, you, the Vols fan. We got it all covered on the Tom Abraham Show.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, here we go. Channel 1.
It's time for tomorrow's Head Day with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome back, 8:52. Time for your tomorrow's headlines today, Drew. And of course, it's Tuesday. That means it's time for us to turn our headlines over to our intern, Jordy. Jordy, we would have a special intro for you, special musical thing, but that's just not our style.
It's all good. Hey, Seal works for me. If it was Kiss from a Rose, I'd be even more happy.
You can go now.
All right.
Rose. Come on now. All right, what you got for us on today?
All right, so guys, it's draft week. So this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, and I also kind of like to call it stupid because this is the week where people get in their heads a little bit and they make someone else fired in the next 2 years. So, not stupid week. We should have some history on Thursday night. So there has never been achievers drafted in consecutive years from the same college before. And this could happen with the University of Alabama.
You're talking about in the first round.
In the first round.
Okay.
In the first round. So last year, obviously, you had Henry Ruggs, you had Jerry Jeudy. And then this year, we're going to hopefully have Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, unless someone loses their minds. So Alabama killing it at receiver.
Yeah, we'll see.
Wolverine Dan.
Certainly, but speaking of receivers, they could draft one with the 7th overall pick, and that's the Detroit Lions. They made a huge trade, as we know. Got Dan Campbell, a new head coach, and one of their diehard fans is now with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. That's Wolverine Dan. What's up, Dan? You there, Dan? We got you.
All right. Well, while Ray figures that out, your other headline for today.
Go ahead.
All right. So keeping it with the draft, Devontae Smith. People are getting a little cold feet going into the draft, thinking he's too small. Right. So
Drew's tired of hearing that.
Tired of hearing it. So
Skip Bayless. Player. I think he's going to be an All-Pro right away. But I'm excited. I hope he goes to a good organization with a QB. Now, I've seen some mocks. One of the Bucky Brooks has him going to Philadelphia, and that kind of made me want to puke.
All right. Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline show winding down, but Wolverine Dan with us, hopefully, on this Tuesday. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan.
Well, good morning, Drew. I'm getting a real strong sense that you don't like Skip Bayless.
No, he's a turd.
That's Cow Turd. That's a different guy.
Well, no, Cow Turd's got his own deal, but no, I'm not a Skip Bayless guy. He's a mouth. He likes to hear his head. Gives a lot of stupid opinions, most of the time wrong.
Well, I know it's not sports related, but I was just so excited this morning. I had to tell somebody. I take my little walk in the morning, guys, and my wife drives, up to me. She's on her way to work and gives me a big wet one on the lips, and I thought to myself, who's got it better than me? And or Harbaugh said, Who's got it better than us? I'm walking in my neighborhood, relaxed, retired, going to work. Fellas, it don't get no better.
Well, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the draft too. You guys going to have a draft party, Dan?
No, sir. I don't drink beer anymore.
No, that's right.
You still have a draft party.
It's too much sugar. Yeah, I can't do draft. I can't do any beer, so no more sugar. But no, I'm not going to have a party. But I like the way our general manager and the coach is going. With the trades he made, and man, I tell you what, it's a good sign. I mean, who knows? Maybe we got a competitive team that'll get in the playoffs. Well, I can't remember when we got in the playoffs. It was like 92 or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they're mentioning Jared Goff as a one-year bridge because he could leave as a free agent. But I don't hear anyone saying that the Lions are going to draft a quarterback. So to me, I think they'll probably address either the offensive line, which would be a Penei Sewell, or they could go defense. I mean, certainly. Surtain will be there, I think, with the 7th pick. It's going to be interesting to see what Dan Campbell, how he kind of sets the stage for what they want to do.
All right, Wolverine Dan, thanks for the call, man.
Thanks for hanging in.
All right, as we say goodbye, Kim Mulkey gives us something we all should live for.
Well, I'm going to take this damn mask off.
Short and sweet.
30. That was her introductory to being named the LSU head coach.
Kim Mulkey. I'm glad she's coming to LSU. I'm glad it's going to be good for women's basketball. We thank Ross Dellenger for joining us and giving us his thoughts on the NCAA, what they got going on, name, image, and likeness. Also, thank you to Vince Ferrara for talking to UT.
Hey, don't forget tonight, Furniture Factory, 5 to 7. The drive will be there. And come on out. And Deontay Brown, $20, get you an autograph.
Yeah, Wes and I on the drive tonight.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
There's nothing worse than overhype, so we won't go overboard telling you how Taco Bell's Quesalupa is back with its cheese stuffed shell. The Quesalupa air shows and making a statue in honor of how there's cheese in every bite. Marvelous. And we won't send one to the moon. Instead, we'll pass on all the fanfare and just tell you Taco Bell's Quesalupa has returned, and we think you'll like it. Fitting locations for a limited time.
Here's a list of what we have. The Crimson Tide, WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Two days to go before the NFL draft, and the 49ers remain quiet on who they'll select third overall. Coach Kyle Shanahan said the team is comfortable with all 5 quarterbacks. Niners likely to choose